Chosen ones, what I'm about to reveal may surprise you, even shock you. If you're here watching this right now, it's no coincidence. You've been guided here by divine forces because a powerful shift is unfolding in your life. From now on, it is God's duty to provide you with wealth and abundance that will last forever. That's right. What once felt impossible, the financial struggles, the feelings of lack, and even the doubt, are now bending to you under God's divine provision. This isn't just a change in your circumstances. It's a profound spiritual awakening. God is stepping into his covenant with you, ensuring that your financial stability and blessings are secured. As a chosen one, you're about to witness wealth flow into your life in ways that only he could orchestrate. But to fully embrace this promise, you need to understand the signs and the process God is using to lead you into abundance. Before we dive into this transformative message, I want you to pause for a moment and do three things. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment with the number 77. This number carries a unique spiritual vibration that will amplify the energy of this video and your journey. And remember, if you are truly one of the chosen, you'll feel compelled to stay until the very end because your spirit already knows this message is meant for you. Let's begin. Let's start with the first sign that God is stepping into his divine role over your financial future. The first sign is a divine shift from struggle to provision. Have you noticed the weight lifting off your shoulders lately? The financial stress, the anxiety, the constant striving, they're no longer as heavy as they once were. What you're experiencing is not a coincidence or a stroke of luck. It's God stepping in and fulfilling his promise to provide for you. Philippians 4 verse 19 assures us, "But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus." This is not just a hopeful idea. It's a covenant with you as one of his chosen. God is not asking you to carry this burden alone. He's already taken it upon himself. Think back to the times when you felt overwhelmed by lack, whether it was financial, emotional, or even spiritual. Maybe you were doing everything you could, but it still felt like you were falling short. Yet now, there's been a shift. It's subtle at first, like a quiet assurance in your spirit, but it grows. That peace you're beginning to feel in situations that used to make you anxious, that's God's hand at work. Taking what once felt impossible and turning it into provision. Those who doubted you, who ridiculed your struggles, who said you'd never rise above your circumstances, are now witnessing this transformation. They might not understand it, but they can't deny what's happening. It's as if the very struggles they used to mock have become the foundation for your breakthrough. This divine shift is a testimony, not just to your resilience, but to God's faithfulness. But let's be honest, this shift isn't without its challenges. Learning to trust in God's provision after years of carrying the weight yourself can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. We're conditioned to believe that success and security only come through our own effort, through constant striving and grinding. But as a chosen one, God is calling you to release that mindset. In Matthew 6 verse 26, Jesus reminds us, "Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? If God cares for the birds, how much more will he care for you?" This isn't about abandoning hard work or responsibility. It's about recognizing that your provision doesn't come solely from your hands. It comes from his. Imagine planting seeds in a garden. You till the soil, plant the seeds and water them, but you can't make the sun shine or the rain fall. That's God's part. And just like the farmer who trusts that God will bring the harvest, you're being called to trust that God is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it. This shift also transforms how you view success and abundance. It's no longer about striving to prove your worth or to meet the expectations of others. Instead, it's about stepping into the abundance that God has already prepared for you. Deuteronomy 28 verse 12 declares, "The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow." This isn't a vague promise. It's a reality for those who are aligned with His purpose. Have you noticed how the shift impacts your daily life? Maybe you've started seeing opportunities where there were once only obstacles. Perhaps resources are coming your way in unexpected forms. A new job, a financial blessing, or even the guidance and wisdom to manage what you already have more effectively. These are not random events. They're signs of God moving in your life, orchestrating everything for your good. They might not understand this. They may still try to bring up your past struggles or remind you of times when things didn't work out. But their doubts can't shake what God has already set into motion. Their criticism only highlights the contrast between who you were then and who you're becoming now. This divine shift isn't about proving them wrong. It's about stepping into the fullness of what God has always planned for you. This season of provision is also about learning to let go of fear. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of the future. These are chains that God is breaking off of you. As you step into this shift, you'll find that fear no longer has the same grip on you. Instead, you're filled with a quiet confidence, knowing that God's promises are unshakable. Isaiah 41 verse 10 reassures us, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." This shift is not just about financial provision, it's holistic. It touches every area of your life. You begin to notice that as your faith grows, so does your sense of peace and purpose. Your relationships improve, your mindset shifts, and your capacity to dream expands. You're no longer bound by the limitations you once accepted as reality. Instead, you're walking in the freedom of knowing that God is your provider. This is where the journey becomes truly exciting. As you embrace this shift, you'll find that it's not just about receiving. It's about becoming a channel of God's blessings. You're being positioned to not only experience abundance, but to share it. This is where your life begins to impact others, as your blessings overflow into the lives of those around you. But here's the question. Will you fully embrace this shift, or will you let doubt and fear hold you back? The choice is yours, but remember this. God's provision is already at work in your life. He's inviting you to release the struggle, to stop striving, and to step into the peace and abundance He's prepared for you. Comment provision if you felt this change in your life. And stay tuned, because the next sign will reveal how trusting in God's unshakable promises will give you the boldness and peace to move forward with confidence. Let's continue this journey together. The second sign is confidence in God's unshakable promises. Chosen ones, something has shifted in you. That anxiety, that lingering doubt about how your needs will be met, is fading. In its place, there's a boldness rising, a quiet but unshakable confidence that God has everything under control. You've stopped lying awake at night wondering how it will all work out because you've begun to trust in a greater truth. God's ability to provide is limitless. Isaiah 41 verse 10 speaks directly to this assurance. "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yeah, I will help thee. Yeah, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." This isn't blind optimism or wishful thinking. It's a peace that surpasses understanding, rooted in God's promises and His track record of faithfulness. Have you felt it? That newfound calm when challenges arise? What once would have sent you into a spiral of fear now feels manageable because you know you're not walking this journey alone. God's promises aren't just words on a page. They're living, active, and personal to you as one of His chosen. The ones who doubted you, who reminded you of every struggle and setback, who laughed when you spoke of hope, still try to bring up your past. They may say, "Remember when you couldn't make ends meet?" Or, "What about all those times things fell apart?" But what they don't see is that your faith has grown roots so deep, their words can't shake you. Their doubts are like pebbles thrown at a mountain. They make no impact. Your confidence is not based on what you see, but on who God is. And because of that, their words are powerless. This confidence is transformative. It allows you to live with boldness, not because you know every detail of what's ahead, but because you trust the one who does. Psalm 125 verse 1 says, "They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever." This is how you now move through life, immovable, steady, unshaken. It's not arrogance. It's assurance, knowing that your life is held securely in the hands of the ultimate provider. But this journey to confidence doesn't come without its challenges. Let's be real. Trusting in God's promises requires you to release control, and that's not always easy. There were likely moments when fear gripped you, when you questioned if God was really working behind the scenes. Perhaps you faced situations where everything seemed to be falling apart, and trusting God felt like a leap into the unknown. Yet, in those moments, His presence sustained you. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8 offers this reassurance. "And the Lord, He it is that doth go before thee. He will be with thee, He will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed." This confidence isn't about ignoring reality. It's about seeing reality through the lens of faith. It's knowing that even when the circumstances don't make sense, God's promises still stand. Think about Abraham, who trusted God's promise that he would become the father of many nations, even when he and Sarah were far beyond childbearing age. Romans 4 verses 20 to 21 describes his faith beautifully. "He staggered not at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strong in faith, giving glory to God, and being fully persuaded that what he had promised, he was able also to perform." That's the kind of confidence you're stepping into, a faith that doesn't waver, even when the path isn't clear. Have you noticed how this confidence changes the way you approach challenges? Instead of panicking when things don't go as planned, you find yourself saying, "God's got this." Instead of obsessing over every detail, you're able to take a step back and trust that God's timing and provision are perfect. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. No! You continue to move forward, but you do so with peace, knowing that the outcome isn't solely dependent on your effort. It's in God's hands. This newfound confidence also has a ripple effect on your relationships. You're no longer looking to others for validation or reassurance because you found your security in God. This makes you stronger, more independent, and less influenced by the opinions of they. Whether it's friends, family, or co-workers, their doubts no longer dictate your choices. You're no longer living to prove yourself to others. You're living to fulfill God's purpose for your life. But perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this confidence is the peace it brings. Philippians 4 verse 7 describes it perfectly. "And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." This peace doesn't mean everything in your life is perfect. It means you've stopped striving, stopped stressing, and started resting in the knowledge that God's promises are unshakable. This peace also frees you to dream again. When you're no longer consumed by worry, you have the space to think about what's possible. You begin to see how God's provision opens doors you never thought would open. The dreams you once dismissed as impossible start to feel within reach because you know that with God, all things are possible. Your confidence in His promises gives you the courage to take steps of faith, to pursue what He's placed on your heart, knowing that He will provide every step of the way. They may still try to remind you of your past struggles, but their words are becoming quieter and quieter in your mind. Why? Because the voice of truth, the voice of God's promises, is louder. You're no longer defined by what you've been through. You're defined by where God is taking you. And where He's taking you is far beyond anything you could ask or imagine. Comment confidence if you're experiencing this divine peace in your life. We've covered 2 undeniable signs so far, but there's more. The next signs will reveal how God's perfect timing is opening doors of opportunity, and how He's positioning you to use your wealth for something far greater than personal gain. Make sure to activate all notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's continue with the third sign. The third sign is opportunities orchestrated by divine timing. Have you noticed it? Those doors that were once locked tight, the ones you knocked on repeatedly without an answer, are now swinging open effortlessly. It's as if the obstacles you once faced are dissolving, replaced by paths you never imagined. This isn't luck, coincidence, or even your own doing. It's divine timing at work in your life. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 assures us, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." Right now, chosen ones, you are stepping into your season. This is the beauty of divine timing. It aligns perfectly with God's plan for your life. These opportunities aren't random. They've been prepared for you long before you even knew to pray for them. The business connection that came out of nowhere, the job offer you weren't even seeking, or the unexpected financial blessing that arrived at just the right moment. These are signs that God's hand is moving in your life. You're not chasing these blessings. They're finding you because you're in alignment with His will. They, the ones who doubted you, who said you were wasting your time, who thought your dreams were unrealistic, are now watching as these opportunities unfold in your life. They may try to rationalize your success, attributing it to luck or circumstances, but you know the truth. It's God's timing, not man's. Their disbelief only highlights the undeniable power of what's happening. You're stepping into places they never thought you'd reach, not because of their approval, but because of God's purpose. But let's talk about the process, because divine timing doesn't always feel easy. There's often a waiting period, a season where nothing seems to be happening. During that time, you may have questioned whether God heard your prayers or if you were doing something wrong. But chosen ones, let me remind you, the waiting wasn't wasted. Isaiah 40 verse 31 promises, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." The waiting wasn't about denial. It was about preparation. God was working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, refining your character, and positioning you for this moment. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He was given a vision of greatness, but before he stepped into that promise, he endured years of hardship, betrayal, and waiting. What seemed like setbacks were actually setups. Every challenge Joseph faced prepared him for the role God had planned for him. And when the time was right, the opportunity came, and he rose to become a leader who not only fulfilled his dreams, but also saved countless lives. In the same way, your waiting season has not been in vain. The struggles you endured, the lessons you learned, and the faith you developed are all part of the preparation for what God is bringing you into. This divine timing also comes with a sense of peace. Have you noticed how things that once felt forced are now unfolding naturally? When God opens a door, there's no need to push or strive. It simply happens. Revelation 3 verse 8 reminds us, "I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it." This doesn't mean you won't have to work or take action, but the opportunities God places before you won't require manipulation or compromise. They will feel right because they are right, divinely aligned with your purpose. This alignment isn't just about material blessings. It's about your greater cosmic purpose. The opportunities God is orchestrating are meant to bring you closer to your calling. They're not just for your benefit. They're for His glory. When you step into these opportunities, you will find that they allow you to bless others, to serve, and to make a meaningful impact. This is where your life begins to intersect with the lives of others in ways that bring healing, hope, and transformation. At the same time, divine timing requires trust. There may still be moments when you don't see the full picture, when it feels like things are moving too slowly or not at all. But chosen ones, remember this: God's timing is always perfect. Proverbs 16 verse 9 tells us, "A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps." Even when you can't see it, He's directing your steps, aligning everything for your good. Have you experienced those moments when everything seemed to fall into place, almost as if by magic? That job you didn't think you were qualified for, the person who came into your life at just the right moment, the idea that seemed to come out of nowhere and change everything. These are not coincidences. They are evidence of God's hand orchestrating your life. And the more you trust in His timing, the more you'll begin to recognize these moments for what they are: divine appointments. They may still whisper doubts, saying you don't deserve this or that it won't last. But their words can't touch what God has ordained. The blessings you're walking into are not fragile. They are secure because they come from Him. And as you continue to walk in obedience and faith, these opportunities will multiply, leading you into a season of overflow. This season of divine timing also teaches you to release control. You no longer have to force things or chase after what isn't meant for you. Instead, you can rest in the assurance that God's timing is bringing exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you act with faith, knowing that your steps are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37 verse 23 confirms, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delighteth in His way." As you embrace this truth, you'll notice a shift in how you approach life. You're no longer anxious about missed opportunities or worried about what the future holds. Instead, you're focused on being present, on showing up fully for the opportunities God places before you. This mindset shift is part of the transformation that comes with being one of God's chosen. You're learning to walk in faith, to trust in His provision, and to recognize the beauty of His perfect timing. Comment timing if you've experienced these divine opportunities in your life. And get ready, because the next sign will reveal how the blessings you're receiving are not just for your benefit. They're part of a greater purpose to uplift others and fulfill God's mission. Let's continue this journey together. The fourth sign is wealth as a tool for greater impact. Chosen ones. This is where your blessings become more than just provisions. They become a platform for purpose. The wealth God entrusts to you isn't solely for your comfort or personal gain. It's part of a higher calling, a divine assignment to uplift others, support His mission, and leave a lasting legacy of faith and generosity. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 8 declares, "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work." This verse doesn't just speak to abundance. It speaks to the purpose of that abundance, to empower you to do good, to create meaningful change, and to further God's kingdom. This shift in perspective is monumental. When you realize that your wealth is not just for you, but for the lives you're called to touch, everything changes. Your blessings become seeds, and as you plant them in faith, the harvest not only blesses you, but overflows into the lives of others. Have you noticed how, when you give with the right heart, blessings seem to find their way back to you in ways you never expected? This is not coincidence. It's the principle of sowing and reaping, a divine law of the universe set into motion by God Himself. They, the ones who doubted your intentions, who thought your ambition was selfish or shallow, are now seeing the truth. Your generosity, your willingness to use what God has given you to serve others, is proving them wrong. They may have assumed that your pursuit of success was purely self-serving, but your actions are showing otherwise. You're not just building wealth. You're building bridges, creating opportunities, and leaving a legacy that points back to God's goodness. This understanding of wealth doesn't come without challenges. It requires a mindset shift from ownership to stewardship. As a chosen one, you realize that everything you have ultimately belongs to God. Psalm 24 verse 1 reminds us, "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein." This means that your role is not to hoard or control, but to manage and multiply what God has placed in your hands. This responsibility can feel weighty at times, but it's also deeply freeing. You're no longer striving to hold on to what you have because you trust that as you give, God will continue to provide. This principle is often counterintuitive to the world's way of thinking. Society teaches us to accumulate, to hold on to as much as possible, to define success by how much we can keep for ourselves. But God's economy operates differently. In His kingdom, giving is the key to receiving. Luke 6 verse 38 promises, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall men give into your bosom." This isn't about giving to get. It's about understanding that generosity, opens the floodgates of God's blessings, creating a cycle of abundance that goes far beyond material wealth. Think about the lives you've already impacted, even in small ways. Maybe you've offered support to someone in need, shared wisdom that changed someone's perspective, or created opportunities for others to thrive. These moments may seem small, but in God's hands, they ripple outward, creating waves of transformation. Imagine the exponential impact you can have as God continues to increase your resources. Your wealth becomes a tool not just to meet needs, but to inspire hope, to break generational cycles of lack, and to empower others to step into their own purpose. The significance of using wealth for greater impact is woven throughout Scripture. Consider the story of the widow in 1 Kings 17 who, despite having only a handful of flour and a little oil, obeyed the prophet Elijah's request to make him a meal. Her obedience and generosity, even in lack, unlocked a miracle of provision that sustained her household throughout a famine. This story reminds us that it's not about how much you have, but about your willingness to trust God and give with an open heart. When you do, He multiplies what you've sown, often in ways that go far beyond what you could imagine. This sign also highlights the joy that comes from living generously. There's a fulfillment that money alone cannot provide. The deep satisfaction of knowing that your blessings are making a difference. When you see someone's life change because of what you've been able to give, it reminds you that your wealth is part of something much bigger than yourself. It's a testament to God's faithfulness and a reflection of His character through your actions. You're not just building financial wealth. You're building a legacy of faith, hope, and love that will endure long after you're gone. They may still struggle to understand why you give so freely, why you're not focused solely on accumulating wealth for yourself. But their misunderstanding doesn't matter. What matters is that you're walking in obedience to God's call, and His approval is all you need. The fruit of your generosity will speak louder than any words ever could, silencing the doubts of others and pointing them toward the source of your blessings. This calling to use wealth as a tool for greater impact also aligns with your spiritual growth. As you step into this role, you're continually reminded of your dependence on God. It's His wisdom that guides your decisions, His provision that sustains your efforts, and His purpose that gives your actions meaning. This partnership with God deepens your faith and strengthens your connection to Him, creating a cycle of trust, obedience, and blessing that transforms not only your life, but the lives of countless others. Comment impact if you're ready to use your blessings for a greater purpose. We've reached the most profound sign, the one that will completely transform how you view wealth and abundance. Are you ready to hear it? The final sign is transformation of mindset and abundance overflow. Chosen ones, this is a moment where everything changes. Your inheritance isn't just material wealth. It's a complete shift in how you think, live, and approach life. It's about moving from a place of striving and scarcity to a state of supernatural provision and divine overflow. Deuteronomy 28 verse 12 makes this promise clear. The Lord shall open unto thee His good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. This isn't a vague or distant hope. It's a covenant that you are now stepping into. The transformation begins with a shift in your mindset. For so long, the world has taught you to chase, to hustle endlessly, to measure your worth by how much you can accumulate. But as a chosen one, you're being called to something deeper. You're being invited to stop striving and start receiving. This doesn't mean passivity. It means alignment. You're no longer running yourself into the ground, trying to make things happen. Instead, you're walking in step with God's timing, trusting that what He has for you will come to you in its perfect season. This mindset shift is liberating. Imagine living with the assurance that your needs will always be met, that you'll always have enough. Not because of your own efforts, but because of God's provision. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the reality of living under God's covenant. It's the peace of knowing that you're no longer chasing blessings. They're chasing you. Psalm 23 verse 6 beautifully captures this truth. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. But stepping into this transformation isn't without its challenges. The world will still try to pull you back into old patterns of doubt and fear. They, the ones who doubted your ability to rise, who questioned your faith or dismissed your calling, may still whisper words of discouragement. They might say things like, "Are you sure this is real?" Or, "What if it all falls apart?" But their doubts no longer carry weight. You've seen too much, felt too much, and experienced too much of God's faithfulness to be swayed by their negativity. Your mindset is no longer shaped by the opinions of others. It's anchored in the promises of God. This shift in mindset doesn't just change how you view wealth, it changes how you view yourself. You begin to see yourself as God sees you, worthy, loved, and equipped for every good work. You stop apologizing for your blessings or downplaying your success to make others comfortable. Instead, you walk confidently in your identity as a chosen one, knowing that your abundance is not only a blessing to you, but a reflection of God's glory. Comment overflow if you are ready to step into this season of supernatural provision and abundance. Your journey is far from over. This is just the beginning of the incredible things God is about to do in your life. Chosen ones, your season of struggle is over. From now on, it is God's duty to provide for you, to bring wealth, abundance, and blessings into your life. Trust in His promises, step into your calling, and use your blessings to make a lasting impact. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Comment the word "I'm chosen" to declare your trust in God's provision and your readiness to embrace this season of abundance. Your journey has just begun. God's richness forever is your inheritance. God bless you.